Hello there everyone, Silverballs here, and today I want to talk about something that just happened today for once. So, let me move out of the way. So it's about this. The Pokemon and company and Nintendo filing a lawsuit against uh, Palworld and its company. And, uh, it's, it's, it's something that started up the whole lazy Pokemon thing after they've been showing signs of maybe actually spending time on shit, which ticks me off that people just don't understand. They don't even really care if someone is actually learning from their mistakes. They just want to shit on it, right? Okay, the Pokemon games the last few years haven't been the best, but after uh how Black 2 White 2 flopped, which was a pretty experimental game from Pokemon, especially after how the past few generations were before Gen 5 were just uh, the same thing over and over again, even though Generation 4 is peak. Right? Gen 5 they switched up a lot of stuff, and that kind of flopped because people didn't really appreciate the change for some weird reason. And now every game has been way too similar. Of course, Alola was a little different. It did well. But aside from Alola, it's been pretty similar until Legends Arceus came out, which uh, was the start of the shift to a much more open world game in Scarlet and Violet. But what uh, Pokemon Legends Arceus actually did was open up the gates because of its success. It opened up the gates for the Pokemon Company to properly start experimenting a bit more, and even if some features might have been half baked or whatever, they still did way more interesting stuff than in the previous Pokemon games. Now, Let's Go was also unique, but it was just red and blue rehashed, or should I say yellow, rehashed into a new game, a new 3D game, which was absolutely unnecessary, right? And it just used Pokemon Go's mechanics. It was just a spin. It was literally a spin-off marketed as a mainline game, while Legends Arceus is a mainline game that some people treat as a spin-off just because there isn't enough battles or whatever, which is dumb, right? But Legends ZA will probably be way better than people are expecting it to be, simply because they're spending a lot of time on it. If you notice, they haven't had a new game, because there was the DLC, for 2 whole years. Now, after 2025, they're likely gonna release a game in 2026 too, since that is the 10th anniversary, and I guess that could also be part of the reason why no games for 2 whole years, right? Is because they want to spend a bit more time on both Legends ZA and the Generation 10 games, which are definitely coming out in 2026. Now, usually, if 2026 wasn't the 30th anniversary, I would definitely be saying like it's not they might not do it, right? But since it is the 26th anniversary, I mean not the 20th, the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, they're definitely gonna release it then. But the Pokemon Company, in the past 3 years, ever since the launch of Scarlet and Violet, has done more to innovate on their games, right? First of all, open world, and they made the legendaries with you throughout the whole game. Just I guess they did do that in Alola, but this time you could actually interact with it without needing to catch it. Now they've also kind of had Rotom, their Rotom phone for the past 2 generations, and I'm honestly sick of it. I miss unique dex designs. So now back to the whole thing. Another thing about the whole Palworld thing is that Palworld, I'll probably make another video on what I'm gonna speak on right now. Palworld is the wrong way to do a monster catcher game, even if you're referencing Pokemon, right? There's so many good monster catcher games that aren't Pokemon, and also aren't like from big companies. Leaving Digimon and Yokai Watch and whatever else aside, there's stuff like Cassette Beasts, and that's unique, and it might reference Pokemon somewhere. It might take some inspiration from Pokemon, but not to the extent Palworld has taken inspiration. Palworld's whole thing, its whole marketing thing, is Pokemon with guns. And even then, that's all it has. Pokemon with guns. I haven't played Palworld, but from the looks of it, it's not a kind of game that I would like playing. Right? But Palworld just doesn't capture the magic that a creature collecting game should. And that's how unique the creatures are, right? Because you let's take an example from Yokai Watch and Pokemon. Ninetales and what's its name? The Ninetales Yokai. I forgot its name, but yeah, both of them are based off a nine-tailed fox, the QB. I think it's just called QB, right? But they're both yellow, okay, but they're both different. They both give off a different aura. They're different things. They come from the same inspiration. They're done differently, even if they might have the same color. They're both different kinds of. I mean, yeah, one is way more true to the yokai, while the other is more of a actual common creature. But still, they tackle the monster designs differently from the same inspiration. Palworld doesn't really do that. They all resemble Pokemon way too much. Like if you wait, there's one more I gotta bring up since I am talking about foxes. Cubimon, right? Cubimon is also different. I mean, it's also yellow. Okay, I mean there isn't much you can do in terms of color, right? For foxes, like yellow, brown, and sometimes white. I guess there's also black and Zorua. So yeah, there isn't. Pokemon is the one that plays around the most with fox colors, while the others kind of stick to the basic colors. But in Digimon's case, I guess they do sometimes have variants, so there's that too. So does Yokai Watch, I think. But I'm just talking about these three, so I apologize if you wanted me to talk about something else. But there's also, it isn't a creature collector game, right? But there's also Fox, Ninetales, in Kamen Rider Gotcha. I bought it, cover. Right? And that is also different from the rest. Like it has Ninetales. That's the one thing they all share. And it's also not yellow if I remember correctly, right? But the one thing that they all share is that they're based off the Ninetale. Cubimon has some yokai, much more yokai spiritual, whatever elements. I don't know what they're actually. There's a yin yang symbol on it if I remember correctly. But yeah, they're all done differently. They all give off a different feel. If you look at Cubimon, you might think of Ninetales, but you won't think of Ninetales at first, right? You'll think, oh, that's based off a Ninetales, or that's a fox. What the hell did I just say? I just said that was kind of contradictory, although you should get my point. Another thing is that if you look at Cubimon, you won't think that that's a copy of Ninetales, because that thing's standing on two legs, right? Yeah, and you won't think it's a copy of Renamon or Cubimon because they're different. It has something different. It has a different feel about it. But Palworld monsters feel like they're trying to rip off not Pokemon but Fakeamon. They look bland, uninspired for the most part. I mean, there are some designs which look good, but that's one in a lot, right? And people also say Pokemon designs get more less and less creative every year, and I don't know if they're even looking at Pokemon designs because the consistency is insane, right? Every year, there'll be. I mean, not every year. Every generation, there'll be Pokemon people like and Pokemon people don't like. That's why there's so many Pokemon that are revealed every generation, because there's always gonna be some that you don't like. But in the case of Palworld, the designs are not only bland, but also uninspired because how blatantly they rip off Pokemon. Right? Even actually no, that comparison is disrespectful. That comparison would be disrespectful. But since I draw Fakemon myself, Fakemon are sometimes do resemble Pokemon, right? But that's done from a point of referencing the Pokemon, referencing something interesting, making the Pokemon in a different light, and that's different from what Palworld does, like the grass type Scorbunny they have. Well, that that's just a ripoff, right? There, if that was, if the Pokemon Company made a grass type Scorbunny in the next generation, no one, a lot of people would just not like it, right? Because it's a copy paste of a Pokemon. Pokemon copy paste Pokemon together and then makes it that evolution. They don't just copy paste the Pokemon, change the color palette, and then release it. They make it actually related to the Pokemon. And even when they do regional forms, that's a regional form, not a whole new thing. And then regional fakes or convergent Pokemon are also kind of like they have their own lore. But if Pokemon were to announce or reveal a green grass type Scorbunny, I don't think people would appreciate that. Or even the one that looks like Cobalion. If they were to add that, I think the people would get mad over the fact that they just made another Cobalion. They just copy pasted the design from Cobalion, right? But they don't do that. The Pokemon Company doesn't just repeat the same design again. Of course, there is Love This Canelo Momola, which should be an evolution line, but still isn't for some reason. But yeah, any like another thing is that the Pokemon Company over the last few years have slowly released more and more mobile games, and that was because they realized that the output they had for anything for their mainline games was not leading to a result that would be satisfactory to both the people making the games, right? I'm not talking about the people who are making the developers make the game, but the developers themselves. There's no way they're satisfied with what they've put out, right? And there's no way we as the consumers are satisfied with the games they've put out, at least not completely, right? Because they can do better. They definitely have the budget to do better, right? But the one thing that really kept them back, I think, is that they couldn't find the time or spread the resources enough to make a game that's satisfactory for both players and the developers. I need a moment to breathe. And another thing is that. What was I gonna say again? I'm blacking out. I talk too much. I really talk too much just now. Like I've already put most of my thoughts on Twitter, so if you wanna know something a bit more concrete on my thoughts on the whole situation, although I talked more about Pokemon specifically with the whole thing, and the thing, that I just remember what I want. The thing that really made them make games yearly is the incentive, not for money, but to get that money to appease the shareholders. That's how companies work. Now another thing is that they might be waiting for this the Switch too, which I hope isn't the case because I don't want to buy another console to play Pokemon today. Like I barely use my Switch as is, so if they just release a game next year, that would be if they release ZA on the Switch as a last game on the Switch, using the Switch to its maximum, I will be really happy with that. Even though it is 7-year old hardware, just like my phone. Oh, shh. Well, I'm cursed to have 7-year-old hardware, aren't I? Anyways, that's gonna be it for me today. Another rant video, out a bit later than usual too. But I guess I'll see you guys next time when I hopefully do what's it called again? Whoa, look at me spin. Is it this spinning? I'm gonna spin myself real fast. Yeah, see you guys next time. Remember to like and subscribe. I'll hopefully not rant on stuff again. Then again, I might just be lazy and end up ranting on something. Well, anyways, so yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. See you next time.